Awesome. Are you ready? Get
Yes.
started? All right, everybody. My name is Michelle DeNio. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much, Berlin, for the opportunity. A little bit of background quick on who I am and why I'm like even should be teaching this topic here. So I am a business growth strategist. I have been doing this for over 8 years now. I'm moving into my ninth year doing business growth strategy. But prior to that, I spent 15 years in the accounting, operations, and business development space. So everything for me revolves around profitability. In accounting, everything is all about profitability and understanding the numbers and making sure that what we're doing is actually bringing in profit and not just revenue. And so that is how I approach pricing with offers and everything else. So I do have a worksheet. I am not one that is big on slides. So I just created a worksheet. I'm going to drop it here in the chat. And if you're on the replay, I'm sure you'll be able to get the link. So if you want to follow along, I'm just going to open up and share my screen because it's going to be easier for me to walk you guys through it in that way. But I want to just start with pricing. And really getting a feel for like how you're pricing your offers. Like, where is your pricing coming from? Like, if you want to drop it in the chat or feel free to come off of mute, but like, how do you price your offers? Is it in this, like, I just pick a number out of the clear blue sky? I take a look at what other people are doing. So, this is kind of the first question. Like, I pick a number that felt good. Someone told me what to charge. I calculated it based on my financial goals. I looked at how much time it really takes me, or I'm not really sure. Like it's just kind of, I guessed. And none of these are right or wrong by any means. It's just kind of like getting a base for understanding. I think when it comes to pricing your offers, is the first thing you have to be honest with yourself about is like, how do I even price my offers currently? Like, where did they even come from? Okay. So, most of you are saying hourly rate for retainer, project based for everyone else, semi guest, kind of what's standard in the industry, which I think is pretty popular, right? And so, for the most part, we do tend to kind of see, like, well, what is everybody else charging and how are they doing it? And what does this look like? And this feels pretty good. And I think on average, I used to make so and so, in my job, I was worth, making $30 an hour. So if I'm charging 50 or 60, I'm doing pretty good. Right. So the first thing I just want you to really think about is just really getting clear on like, do you really know where that pricing came from? So even if you're in hourly or project based or retainer, like where did that hourly rate come from? Like what was it based off of? Did it just like, I think I'm just going to charge 50 bucks an hour. I think I'm going to charge 100 bucks an hour, right? So really thinking about that and then just understanding like every time you create a new offer, what is your process? Like, what is the process when you create a new offer to coming up with the price? Do you evaluate how much time it's going to take you? Do you take into consideration what your clients are currently paying you? Do you look at your financial goals at all? Like, anybody in here, do you actually look at your financial goals and do the math and figure out like how many hours it's going to take you to hit that number? Okay. All right. So we've got competitor rates, ideal rate for one page of writing. Okay. Awesome. So as you can see, like for the most part, nobody in here right now is saying that they've actually based their rates off of their financial goals, right? Or calculated it against their financial goals. And so this is one of the biggest areas that I see. And that's why I wanted to say like aligning your offers with your financial goals. Because I know for a lot of people actually teach that you should just pick a price and feel comfortable with it and, you know, sell it. And if it sells well, like if it's an easy yes, raise your price. If it's not an easy yes, then maybe it's not, a positioning issue or raise your price every time you get three yeses or something like that, right? Like there's so much information out there about how to price your offers. But if they are not set up to hit your financial goals, this is where I see the biggest disconnect with people when they are trying to hit a certain number, whether that's a revenue number every month, whether that's a revenue number every year, whether that's like a revenue or a profitability number, and they're wondering why maybe like I charge this price, I make all this money, but at the end of the day, like I'm still not, there's no cash at the end of it, right? So if you're not taking any your financial goals into consideration, it could just simply be that your pricing is not set up to get you there. Okay. And I'll give you a perfect example of this is I worked with a client a while back. And I'm going to show you guys my process for doing all of this. But like she had, I can't remember what her financial goal was. I'm going to say it was like $5,000. I don't remember exactly what her goal was, but when we did the math and we did the calculation, she ended like she would have had to sign on 56 new clients a month to hit that number based on where her pricing was, right? And so it was not even physically possible. It was not even physically possible to sign on that many clients, nor could she have ever had the capacity to do it. So every month she's spinning her wheels, feeling like, I don't understand why I can't hit this revenue goal, when in reality, the revenue goal is completely out of touch. It's not even physically possible to hit based on the pricing that she had on her offers. Okay. So that's a good reason why, like step two, why it's not working, right? Why your pricing is not working. Your pricing should not be a guess, it should be a strategy. So just another question, like, do you feel like your current offers are helping you reach your financial goals, or do you kind of feel like they're coming up short, right? There's no right or wrong answer here. This is very personal, but are they hitting your financial goals? And especially too, thinking about your financial goals of like good, better, best. Like if you have, I'm maintaining at this level, but I really would like to hit this level. Are they in alignment to get you to that next level? Okay. So if you're answering no or not sure, then you're going to really see probably where the disconnect is. Okay. And then I really just want to take a minute and say, like, what do you feel are your biggest challenges around pricing? So you're either not hitting your monthly goals, you feel like you're always working, but you're still not making enough. Like you feel like, I probably have outgrown this pricing, but I really don't know how to raise it. I'm not sure where to raise it to. Or my offers really are not reflecting the time, energy, or support I'm giving. Most of the time I see like C or D, like I've outgrown my pricing or they don't reflect the time, energy, or support I'm giving. And I just want you to understand or know that like that's so common, right? It's so common to feel like I'm giving so much and I'm not being paid for it. Because as entrepreneurs, like we're natural givers, right? Like we want people to be happy. We want people to feel like we have gone above and beyond. And you can go above and beyond and still hit your financial goals, right? Like you do not have to go above and beyond and come up short every single month. And I also, before I dive into the math of all of this and like how to really make sure it's in alignment with your financial goals, one of the things that I want to really preface and say is that pricing is so personal, right? There really is no right or wrong answer to pricing because if somebody, even as you go through this process, you're going to see a number that maybe comes up and you're going to think, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I can do it. Right? Like that's okay. Or maybe you're going to feel like, no, that's way too low. I definitely want to charge more. Well, that's okay too. Because here's the thing, if you're not confident in your pricing, you're not going to sell it. Right? If you feel like your pricing is too high, you're going to feel this tendency to want to consistently give a discount. If you feel like your pricing is too low, you're going to start to feel a little bit of resentment and bitterness, right? Towards your clients, you're going to start to feel overworked, you're going to start to lean into burnout a little bit. So, I just want everybody to really know and understand that pricing is very personal and that this tool that I'm about to teach you guys is there to give you a baseline. There to give you the facts and the information that's going to tell you exactly what you need to charge to hit your financial goal, but that doesn't mean it has to set in stone. It just means that if you are uncomfortable with it, something needs to change, whether that's the amount of hours you spend with on a certain offer, whether that means you change your financial goal for right now, right? Like you just need to understand that like everything comes down to you. This is your decision and you get to charge whatever you want to charge as long as you feel confident in it and you have the market to sustain it. Okay. So you've got this here. You can walk through it. I'm going to show you guys this calculator that will do everything for you. And then at the end of this, if you want a copy of the calculator, I've got a link for you. You can just grab it and it will help you to really, it's fun. It's a fun tool to play around with. So does anybody want me to go through it personally, like with their numbers, or do you want me to just make up some numbers? Like, is anybody comfortable going through it, or you want me to just make up some numbers? Make up some numbers. I know
Yeah.
pricing is tough. Okay. Pricing is tough. Okay. So I'm going to use $100,000 as the financial goal. And the reason I do this is because $100,000 is like the ultimate six figures, right? Like it's what everybody wants to hit. Okay. So we're going to use $100,000 just for easy math for a lot of ways. So what this calculator does is you just basically you fill in the numbers that are in green. All right. So whatever your financial goal is, this is going to automatically add 30% for your taxes and 20% for your expenses because the goal here again is profit. This is not gross revenue. So we are set up to add in the tax money that you have to pay and your financial goal and your expenses. On average, companies sometimes run a little bit leaner. If you feel like you run more at like a 10% expense rate, you can just get in here and change the calculation here. Um, and then or if you feel like you are like, if you want to change this and maybe you're not quite at um, uh, 30% and you want to change this to 25%, you can get in here and just change this. Actually, this doesn't, it's not set up. Okay. So you can get in here and you can just change that formula. Okay. So if you feel like you run a little bit leaner and you say like, no, I try to keep my expenses to 10%, you can play around with this. But on average, most people's expenses are around 20%. Okay. So we're going back to $100,000. So on average, we want to be hitting 150,000 to net 100. Now, I add in here weeks of vacation because I think that this is really important. One of the things that we don't often take into consideration as business owners is that we don't want to work 52 weeks a year, right? Like we do take the time off, whether you take the weeks in between Christmas and New Year's off, if you take summers off with your kids, if you take a week off every month in the summer. Again, this is up to you. Like, how many weeks off do you want to take? And when I say weeks off, I mean like no client work. You may be working on the back end of your business, but you're not working on client work. Okay. So we're going to use 6 weeks, which means you've got 46 weeks to hit $150,000. That's where that's coming in. And then the hours per week is if you can run this a couple different ways. You can run this as total hours that you want to work. Or what I highly recommend if you want a more accurate pricing is the hours you want to work on client work. So let's say you have 40 hours a week available to work, but you spend 10 or 15 or 20 of that on the administrative side, the marketing side, the content creation side, anything, your operations, right? Like anything that is not client facing, like not billable time where you're actually making money, right? Like if marketing and all of those back end things. So if you want to say like I have 20 billable hours for client time, what this is going to do is give you this personal hourly rate. Now, I know everybody's like, I don't want to be in a time for dollar trade. I don't either, right? I'm not in a time for dollar trade. I'm all for value-based pricing. But what this does is this says that if you are not netting $163 per every hour that you're spending with clients, you are likely not going to hit your financial goal, right? So if you run a power hour, and you charge $197 for it, well, then you're doing okay, right? Like you're in that range. Again, this is here to give it to you. But if you're running power hours and you're charging $97, you're likely going to come up short if you don't have other offers that are kind of counteracting that. The other way that you want to use this is if you create, especially for those of you that work like on an hourly. So if you have a day rate, right? So if you have a day rate for how much you want to make on a day rate retainer, or a VIP day or something of that sort. If you're working 6 hours, right, you can do the math and say 6 hours times $163, which is, I don't even know. I'm going to pull up my calendar or my calculator because I can't do that math. Um, so you've got, where did my calculator go? Oh, here it is. It's behind you. $978, right? So if you're charging less than $1,000 for your day rate, there's a good chance you're not going to hit your financial goals, right? That's how you want to really use this hourly rate is it gives you that baseline number. So if you are a service provider that has a program like mine that's a monthly retainer, right? You're going to add up how many hours do you spend answering questions? Do you do Q&As? How many hours are you spending in the community? How many hours do you spend on calls with all of your clients? How many, right? So you have a total number of hours that you're spending, especially, or if you do like a one-to-one rate, let's say you have a 12-week program, right? And it's weekly calls. Well, that's 1 hour per week. Is there any time in between there that you're answering questions or doing more of that type of response, right? So this is what that gives you. That's what you're using this hourly rate for, is really to just give you that baseline. So if you say, I've got a package where I spend 10 hours a month with a client, right? Well, can you charge $1,600 a month, right? Like at 163 and you've got 10 hours, you're at $1,600 a month. I don't know. What's your average? You know what I mean? Like that's where you can look at and say like there's no way my clients are going to pay $1,600 a month for this offer. Or that sounds way too low. Okay, well you might be able to get it up to 1997 or whatever your feelings are. Like if you like even numbers or 2000 or whatever that is. But if you come up with a number and you feel like, wow, that's way too high, well then you've got to make an adjustment. You either have to spend less time with the client, right, to drop that rate down, or you've got to have something else, whether that's an upsell or another one-to-many offer that's going to make up that difference. Is this making sense for everybody? Is this helping? Okay. And then the next thing that you can do with that is you can take, so if you have your pricing, so let's say you all had your pricing, you kind of just based it on industry average. So let's say industry average is 997. Well, at 997, in order to hit your goal consistently, you need 13 of those sales every single month. So that just helps you to look at and see like, well, do I have the ability and the capacity to make 13 sales a month? Can I take on 13 new clients every single month? Right? Well, if every single client requires 10 hours of your time, and you only want to work 20 hours a week, well, that only gives you 80 hours a month, right? 13 clients times 10 hours is 130 hours. You only have 80 available. So, again, this is where you can very clearly see this is why you're coming up short or where there's a disconnect, right? It could be either a capacity issue here of like timing, it could be a pricing issue, right? Look at if you move this to 1497. You move it to 1497, 8 sales a month. But even that, that's 8 sales. So this also now allows you to take it a step further, which is not really what the point of this conversation is, but I'm going to help you just dive this a little bit deeper here, is that if you know what your average conversion rate is, right? This is also going to help you to see like, well, if I convert at 10%, right? My average conversion rate is 10%. That means you need 80 warm leads in your pipeline at all times to convert 8 clients a month. If you don't have 80 warm leads every single month, then there's a good chance that you're not going to get those 8 sales. Now, there's so many factors, right? If this 14.97 a month is reoccurring, then you know what I mean? You're not trying to get eight new clients every single month because you have this reoccurring revenue coming in. So again, all of this really truly depends on your business model, what your offers look like, and all of that. If it's project based versus retainer, that type of thing. So there's a lot of factors that play into this. But my goal here in giving this to you and teaching you this is really to look at and see, is my pricing in alignment to hit my financial goals? And do I have the capacity to get where I want to go? Right? Like, is it physically possible? And then down here, if you want to take it a step further, if you have like a launch that you're doing, so if you run in the more live launch model and you say, like, I want to have a $50,000 launch, right? Again, whatever your expenses are for a launch, if you're running ads, it could be far more than 20%. You could even put in like how many hours per week you're running in that launch and then what the average sale is. So again, maybe it's a $2,000 offer. Well, then you got to hit 30 sales in your launch, right? It could be monthly or depending on what your launch period is. So this really allows you to kind of break it down and see. It's all about having facts that can give you the information that really just says, like, the data says and the data supports that this is possible or it's not possible. And it's all about looking at and making sure that you're not like, I know a lot of people say to like set these big, hairy, audacious goals, right? And you have these big goals and like, no, shoot bigger, like go bigger, aim for something bigger. Like if you want to make $100,000, not big enough, aim for 250,000. Well, if you only want to work 20 hours a week and your pricing is at 14.97, there's no chance of you hitting $250,000 at this level unless you again create some type of one to many or an evergreen type offer, right? Like you have to really understand your pricing and your business model to make sure that if you shoot bigger, you're not shooting so big that you're setting yourself up to fail. That's what I'm trying to get across here is that I don't want to see people set themselves up to fail simply because their pricing is not in alignment to get them where they want to go. Okay. So once you have that, like, I just am curious, like, what did you notice? And you can just answer this privately, or if you want to drop it in the chat, I'd love to hear. But like, what did you notice when you saw the math? Was there anything that like, wow, I really had never thought of it like that, or I'm definitely undercharging? I'm assuming that I have more hours available than I do, right? Like what came up for you as you were looking into this? How many of you take into consideration the weeks that you want to take off from, that you're not working? Do you take into consideration the hours that are not spent on client facing, that are spent behind the scenes, right? Like really looking at like, are all of these things calculated into your current pricing? Total hours worked into perspective. Yep. Break it down. I think the total hours worked is really important because I think we always overestimate how many hours we have available, right? When we're taking on clients, it's like, oh, yeah, I can take on 10 new clients this month. Do you really have the time to take on 10 new clients this month? Or are we just taking on 10 new clients because we want to hit a financial goal and then we're working into the evening and we're up all night and we're working on the weekends and we're stressed to the max and we're hitting burnout because we've taken on 10 new clients just to hit a financial goal, right? Because we really didn't have the hours available. And so part four or step four in this, is to really look at your offers. So you can also do this with if you have multiple different offers. Most people have multiple different offers. So you can run that calculator per offer, right? Like I highly encourage you to kind of run different offers. And then with that different offer, like looking at the number of sales needed, how many sales would you need each month to hit your financial goal? And then the capacity is that, what that means is that do you have the time and the available to hit that, right? So, like, is it physically possible for you to hit 12 sales a month, right? That's really what you're looking at. Is it physically possible? Is it a capacity fit? Yes or no, based on all of your different offers. So, If you have a membership, right? You've got a low ticket membership. Berlin's got a low ticket membership, and then she's got more done for you type offers or something like that, right? So, how many sales does she need to hit her low ticket membership goal? And then what's the capacity to fill that? Looking into your capacity can look at time, capacity can look at conversion rate, right? That can also look at conversion rate. So, like at 100 members, how many warm leads do you need to hit 100 members? Right. So, like, is it in capacity? Do you have the capacity to gather all those warm leads? And so that's where, again, if you have a lot of time spent marketing and doing lead generation and sales and administrative, you don't want to put those hours into your pricing because you need your pricing to absorb those hours. Does that make sense? Right? You want your pricing to absorb and maintain. So you want to know that, like, I'm only working 20 billable hours, and the other 20 hours that I'm working is being absorbed into that pricing. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and then from here, once you do this with your offers and your sales, where's the disconnect? Like, where are you seeing a disconnect? Is it in the amount of hours available? Is it in your pricing? Is it in your financial goal? Right? Is it in your capacity to even uh, obtain this? Um, there's a disconnect here. And yeah, adding in your admin hours with your client hours, right? Like, where is there a disconnect that you're seeing, like, wow, this is really not set up for alignment? And the reason I call this profit is because you notice in that calculator, we added in expenses and your taxes, right? This is not gross revenue. This is included in, like, we've added in to the goal. So this is where the profit comes in because you've added in the cost of the expense of doing business as well, right? So this includes your credit card fees. This includes your advertising costs, your marketing costs, anything of that, any contractors you hire, any programs you join, any coaching that you get, right? Like all of that is absorbed into that so that at the end of the day, you're still netting that 100,000 or whatever your pricing is. Okay, whatever that goal is. And so step five then is just what's one change you can make today to bring your pricing and capacity closer to your financial goals? So does that mean that you look at and maybe you need to shift how many hours you spend with the client? Right? One of the things that I find very common is that we feel like we need to give more, 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 right? Especially in a retainer style offer. It's like, I need to give them this and I need to give them access to me on a call. And then we need to do a Q&A and then I need to check in with them. And then I'm going to do an accountability check-in. And then I'm going to give them access to me on Voxer. And then I'm also going to do this. And then I'm going to add in co-working. And oh, wait, why don't we do this too, right? That's all hours and it makes your program feel really robust. But in a lot of ways, it's actually just killing your profit. It's killing your profit because if they don't show up, people have got massive Zoom fatigue. More is not always better. What is the least viable amount of time that you can spend where people still feel like they are getting massive value, right? You still want them to feel like there is a massive value exchange here, but not overwhelm them either because that when people feel overwhelmed, at price or not, they're not going to sign up, right? And the more you add to your plate and the more hours you spend, that reduces your capacity to take on new clients. And it really cuts into your profitability, especially if people don't show up, right? Just because you're adding more doesn't necessarily mean people are going to take you up on it. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to net them better results. If they feel overwhelmed, they're not going to show up, which is just, that's going to actually hinder the results. So if you feel like your pricing is a little bit off because of all of the things, like, but I spend like 15 hours a week with a client or 15 hours a month with each client, where can you pare that back? Can it be a group Q&A? Can it be an email instead of a phone call or a Zoom? That type of thing. Like, where are you spending too much time that's cutting into your profitability where you could get the same result for the client and spend less time doing it? Okay. Does that make sense? So that's like my whole entire presentation. And now I'd love to just open it up for questions because to me, it's that simple, right? Like, I don't think pricing needs to be overcomplicated. It's a very simple math. And this is what you want to make. This is how many hours you want to work. This is what you need to be making per month, right? This is how you need to do it. So, I'm going to leave it open, but I'm happy to answer specific offer questions, specific questions to how to calculate your hourly rate, like anything and everything that you have a question on, please. Anything related to pricing, please bring it to me.
First of all, that was extremely helpful. Thank you so much. I've seen I mean, I don't really dabble in this because it feels overwhelming to me, but the templates that I do get just also make it too overwhelming. So I really liked your simple calculator. Um, yeah, there's a lot to process.
No, yeah, no worries.
So, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm a freelancer, so I do a lot of different things and have lots of different offers. So it's kind of hard for me to judge how many, I mean, I can judge how many hours I'd like to spend, per week, but I don't really have a clear way to say, like, I'm definitely going to have this kind of offer come in this month. So it's hard to plan. And, I keep a reserve for like slow months and things. But how would you suggest going about planning? I know you said to like plug in for different offers and like go through the numbers for each of them, but um, I don't know. I guess I'm curious of like what you suggest to do in this scenario, like how to plan for the fact that you don't know what offers
What
will
type of
end.
Yeah. Okay. So are all of your offers, whether it or all of your different pricing in your packages, is it all related to a certain hourly rate? Like, do you calculate hours based on that?
Yeah, I do. I usually try to bill like 800, or I'm sorry, $80 for every 500 words. So that usually is like 80 an hour for me. Um, that's like the idea, I guess, behind all of my pricing. So, I mean, I guess I could boil it down to that.
Yeah, so I would take that calculator and I would look at like how many hours you want to work per month, right? Like regardless of like what type of offers come in, it doesn't matter. But like at capacity, I don't want to work any more than 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week, which is 160 hours, right? So based on your financial goal and then those hours and then any weeks that you want to take off, looking at that. If it comes up less than $80, then you're probably doing okay. If it comes up more than $80, now remember, the 40 hours a week does not include that usually includes your marketing, your advertising, you know what I mean? Any type of back end, your invoicing, your communication, right? Like there's time into that. So what I would do is cut some of that back and get your hourly rate and see like am I at $80 or more, or should I be charging a little bit more, right? Like you may want to base that on $100 an hour, which will give you that buffer. So some projects may end up being 80, but if you base most of your packages on that 100 or $120 an hour, something like that, depending on what your calculator comes up with, you can kind of increase it to where some projects you might not be able to get full to that $120 an hour. You know what I mean? Like you might not be netting that, where other projects you might actually be netting over that. So they kind of bridge like the average out. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yep, definitely.
Yeah. So bring in like come up with like what is your bare minimum and raise your bare minimum and then always shoot a little bit higher and know that some projects are going to go over scope and you're going to maybe make a little bit less, but some projects may go under scope and you'll actually average it out a little bit better.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have any thoughts or tips on like how to price based off of experience and or industry like standards, or do you kind of just for people to just do what feels best for them in terms of like what they want to make?
I think this really depends on your market and if your market and your ideal client is looking for a level of experience, right? Like in certain markets, so like in the coaching and consulting space, like experience, yes, comes into consideration and you can add on. But at the end of the day, I look at it like, what do I need to do to hit my goals? Right. And then again, like my hourly rate, I don't remember what my calculator comes up at because I play around with it all the time. Um, so like I think it comes up somewhere around like that $170 an hour, but my power hours were 297. Like I charge $297 for my power hour because my experience, because I know what I'm delivering on the back end. I also take into consideration the pre-work that I do, the post work that I send out, right? Like, and that I know that I can work faster now because I have a lot more experience and I can get a lot more done in an hour. So I do add on. But again, that's personal preference. Like, I don't think experience in this world that we live in, this online digital world, you're not what the experience is so hard to measure,
Mhm.
right? Like everybody's experience is so different, right? So I don't know that people really look at that. There is some psychology around pricing that the higher you price it, the more people feel like they're getting a better value because it's a higher price versus somebody who's charging bottom dollar. I don't know. I mean, I just signed up for a membership that is very low ticket, less than $100 a month, and I am floored at the level of support and experience that this guy brings to the table, right? So his business model just runs differently. His business model is run based on membership style. He likes that low ticket, he likes that high conversion rate, right? So he operates on quantity. He's been doing this for 10 years, but he doesn't price it based on his experience.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm in a membership for $9 a month and it's like same, like just packed with stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm
I've
in that same
spent
one. So good, right?
yeah, I've spent over $100 for a monthly membership and it was a complete waste of my time.
Exactly. So again, like that's where I think like you can come up with the pricing that you feel the most comfortable with. And when you feel comfortable and you feel confident, the confidence is what sells the experience, right? Like if you know, like I have no qualms about charging $300 an hour for my business strategy sessions and my power hours because I know that I'm going to be able to dive deep fast, look at somebody's, business, pinpoint an issue that I can easily help them to switch around and take action on, right? Like, and I can say that with confidence, right? Like, there, you can see it in all the things I'm saying right now. Like, there's nothing I'm questioning. I'm not backing down. My body language is very strong. I feel very confident in that. And so people are going to resonate and sense that experience. And also results matter. I think at this point, results matter more than much of anything.
So true. Yeah, something that I'm starting to finally wrap my head around and like valuing my work is that when I first started, and you say yes to everything, right? And like the portfolio building stage, I had 18 clients at my peak, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'll never do that again. It was way too much. And so I was still like just barely reaching like a good financial goal, but I was like working 12, 13 hours a day. And now as I'm like scaling that back and increasing my rates, I have a lot of like I feel just bad about it. I feel I have a hard time like accepting that, which is probably why I'm not doing good at conversions because people feel that when they talk to me. But the more that I charge, the less clients that I take, and that gives them more value and it makes me feel better. And so I'm giving them better work. And so I think that's something to keep in mind too, is that the more that you charge, the more time that they get, and then the less clients that you have to take on. And so everybody's just benefiting from that too.
Yeah, and also too, like this is where as you get better, you can increase your profitability, right? Because even though the same project 5 years ago may have taken you 10 hours that you now can do in 5 hours, right? Like that's where you're making up the difference also, is like you're making it up in speed. And so you're still billing and still charging at that 10 hours. So if you don't feel comfortable raising your rates per se, as much as you feel like you want to, so like let's say your profit, you were basing it off of $100 an hour. You work through that calculator and it says now that you've got to go to $200 an hour, right? And so you've got a project, it's 10 hours. You would have normally charged $1,000 for it. Now you're like, man, I don't know if I can double my rates. I don't know if I can charge 2,000, right? Well, from a value-based pricing model, you could maybe split the difference, charge $1,500, but know in your mind you can get this done in 6 hours. So now you've just gained 4 hours, right? So you've made up that extra $400 that you didn't raise your price from because you were able to get it done faster and you delivered the same outcome. So as long as the outcome is still delivered upon and the client is still getting that promised result, how quickly you get it done doesn't matter to them, right? And that's where that value-based pricing comes in. So you're not quoting them and saying, I'm going to give you 10 hours of my time. You're saying, you're paying me for this sales page or this marketing plan, and I'm going to make sure that at the end of this project, and what we've talked about is that you have a sales page, you have emails, whatever. If you can get that done laser fast, it doesn't matter. You've just increased your hourly rate, right? Like that's how you can increase your profitability if you don't feel comfortable getting to that higher price point. Does that make sense?
Definitely. I think that'll be interesting to see like I don't use AI a ton. I do, but I don't. And so I think it'll be interesting to see like how that starts to play a role in things because obviously that decreases our time a ton. And so I've tried to ask people who are in like AI marketing specifically, like, okay, does that impact your rates? And they just like completely avoid the question. So like, do we keep our rates?
Because, yeah, because they're paying, right? Because here's the thing I think you have to understand too, as you raise your rates. Like, yes, if I'm coming to you because I don't know how to write sales copy, right? Sarah, are you a like sales copywriter or do you do more blogging?
I would say a bit of both. I'm a creative copywriter, so I specialize in brand voice creation. So blogging for sure, but
Okay.
bit of
Uh,
everything.
Okay, so here's the thing. Could I go on AI and get a blog? Yes, right? Like I could ask AI to create me a blog. But if I'm hiring Sarah, I'm expecting a blog that is SEO driven, right? Like with keyword rich. You've done some research on that. You're writing it to make sure it's answering questions from Google that are up to date. Remember, AI is only up to date as of 2 years ago. It's not up to date as of today. So, you know what I mean? So their data is a little bit off. So if somebody's coming to you and they are wanting to pay you for it, if you choose to use AI to accelerate your process and it helps you to put out a better deliverable, I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, what I care about is the result that you promise me. How you get me that result is on you, unless you're straight up using AI and just spitting out some type of, like something that I could go like use Chat GPT for, right? But most people aren't, right? Like if you're using AI or you're using it for research or something like that, it's you're just utilizing it, but you're still putting your own knowledge into it. You still have to know what questions to ask it. You still have to know my business. You still have to understand my ideal client, my market, my voice, all of that, right? So there's so much inside of that. So I think yes, people are getting used to the fact that almost everybody is using AI, but you promise the deliverable. You promise the deliverable, you promise the result, you promise that more humanized personal connection, right? That's what people are still continuing to pay for. And if you use AI to help increase and it helps you increase your profitability, so be it. As long as the client's getting what they're promised, that's all that really matters, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Um, cool. This was super helpful. Sarah, please chime in if you have any other thoughts or questions. Well, Michelle, how can we work with you? What do you offer? How can we work with you?
Yeah, so right now I have my signature offer. It's called the Focus Visionary Accelerator. It's a 6-month program and it really walks through a very strategic thought process for how to grow your business. So it helps you to create the strategy for growth, looking at your pricing strategy, your lead generation strategy, your sales strategy, but also not just implementing and creating a strategy that gives you more of a to-do list, but a strategy that helps you to think differently about your business. Why am I doing this? What is the goal? How are we going to accomplish this? Is this in alignment? Is this adding time? Right? Like really helping you to become a strategic thinker to implement and execute on the strategies that you want to use to grow your business. So it's an 8-part framework. Like I said, it covers everything from understanding your data to getting your pricing straightened around and your offers to lead generation and moving people through your pipeline, attracting them to you, and then creating these focused 60-day plans, which is for most of us that are big visionaries and big picture thinkers with all the big ideas. It's that how do we create the focus and keep you focused on, nope, this is what you said you were going to do. This was your intention. This is your goal. And then really utilizing the data to track and see what's currently working in your business so that you can double down on that and really exponentially grow it.
That's great. Yeah, I think when we first chatted, we were talking about how all entrepreneurs have ADHD. So I love that you're keeping us on track, keeping
Yeah.
us focused. Um, Very
Yes.
cool. This was really helpful. There's a lot to process. I'm definitely gonna go through this and the calculator and figure out all of that.
Yeah, actually here, if you want, I'll drop quick in the chat. Here's the link to grab the calculator. Um, it'll just it'll give it to you. There's a Loom video that gives a little bit of an explainer, and then the worksheet as well will help you kind of walk through it. But the other step here too, I mean, inside the program, we take this calculator kind of to the next level. But if you wanted to try to do it on your own, the next level really does look at like, where is that financial goal even coming from? So like this infinite number of $100,000, like if you add up all of your expenses and all of the things that you're currently paying for and all of the things you want to do, whether that's putting $500 a month into a 401k or an IRA, or, you know what I mean, getting a house cleaner, or, you know what I mean, like all of those additional wish list things, as well as personal and business. Like maybe you want to join a program, but you don't necessarily have the extra cash to do it, right? You can utilize that. So if you wanted to take that a step further, I would really encourage you to like lay out all of those things, add it up, and get a really, really accurate number of what that financial goal needs to be. Like, is $100,000 even enough to get you where you want to go? Right? Do you need to increase it? Do you have other income that you rely on? So you can take it a step further and make sure that not only is your pricing aligned to hit your financial goal, but is your financial goal in alignment to, get you all of the things that you want to accomplish with your business as well.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I think we kind of forget everything because everything's on like auto pay now, and we have so many subscriptions for everything that we kind of don't even realize what we have going on in there. So that's really helpful.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. This was really helpful. Yeah, I'm gonna need a minute to digest all of this, figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have any other questions, you can always like DM me on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm not big on Instagram, but if you have questions or email me, Michelle at Michelle DeNio, just shoot it back over to me. And if you're really coming up short or you're feeling like I'm still really super confused by this, like send me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
You too.
Thank
Take
you.
care.